Previously on Movified.
People have seen me with like a black eye at all kinds of different situations because I'm always committed to this show. Well, my office, I thought, the back wall behind me is fairly close to our warehouse. And I thought, shit, what's going on? Like I feel like the forklift just kind of went by or something like that. And my office manager opened up my door knowing that I'm in a podcast. She goes, while you were talking, Andrew, she's like, that was a 5.2 earthquake because like everything was shaking in here.
Whoa.
Earthquake on Movified.
And I didn't want to interrupt what you were saying or anything else. This earthquake was going on. And yeah, I was just like, yeah, I'm like watching the lights shake a little bit. My table was like shaking. Live on Movified, we are starting part 2, and we are jumping in with Andrew Androff
from the beautiful
Detroit, Michigan. No, we're in Detroit today because that's what we're sporting. We are super excited to continue this on, and I almost want to kind of give a little bit of a background history. There was a company that I was looking to acquire, or came out to me looking to acquire. These guys were on Dragon's Den, so they were the Canadian version of Shark Tank. They were huge in the early 2013, 2010. You're close. They were Frogbox.
Oh, Frogbox. Yeah, I remember those guys.
Frogbox is still around. So those that are listening, they are still around. They're still kicking it. I had looked into acquiring it or molding into having this as another division of Salmons. And one of the things, looking back and looking at the numbers, is that in 2012, 2013, 2015, I mean, I'd almost guarantee 90% of moving companies that were trying to transition out of cardboard boxes were either going to the Bungle Box, the Rent-A-Crates, the plastic tote companies that were offering this service and going, great, hey, can we rent like 300, 500? We're doing an office move. We need this. We want to be eco-friendly when, that was becoming a big thing. Fast forward to today, and maybe 25%, if not less, are outsourcing to those kind of companies because they found the supplier, they've done the branding, they said, hey, you know what, I might as well invest in 300, 500 of these totes and just do it myself and have them in-house. I remember at a time I did the same thing prior moving company and said never again, because we bought 250, and I think by the time I sold my other moving company, we had like 40 left because there was no tracking. I didn't know where the hell these were going. It just was like, oh my God, this is just such a big headache. And the reason I'm saying this is because obviously behind you, Andrew, are these lime green totes. And as we finished up part 1 and started part 2, we want to deep dive into this because you have this concept. How's it working for you? Is it something that you would say to the listeners, hey, you know what, if you're going to do it, like this is the right approach and it's worked well for us, but do X, Y, Z so you don't end up like someone like me with 30 left after 250.
Well, we slightly got deeper than 250. I think we're up to about 8,000.
Okay.
So we think the concept's working, which is good. But with us, it goes.
What year?
2011.
Yeah, like when did you start doing this?
2011. We're on the front end of this. So, but I would be the first one to tell your listeners right now, this is not a standalone business that I would recommend for a business model to go jump in. This is a additional stream of revenue for your moving company.
You've seen a lot come and go in the 15 years.
Come and go. I mean, even in Detroit, like West Coast, New York, these things are thriving and they're being used daily. Boston, those bigger communities, bigger cities, they're very, very popular and they're starting to really establish themselves. I still think we're probably 10 years out before this is like a widely recognized concept, because that's the challenge that you have when you go into this business, is that you're so ahead of what people don't realize is even an option that they don't know to even look for it because they don't know it exists, right? Like if you go to England and I know you're a big fan of like connecting with movers over in Europe. I listened to a podcast, Mark, that you'd done with a guy in the UK. And
I thought you were going to say, I know you're big on England, Steve, and I was going, where are we going here? I didn't.
So in England, these became popular in the 1960s, and the plastic moving box is really the only way people move over there. That's how moves are done. They're all plastic moving boxes, and they're every moving company. I should say everyone owns them, or if they source them out from vendors. And I guess they're not moving companies over there, right? They're removals is what they call themselves. But
that's right, the removals, yeah.
But we got way ahead of the curve, and the reason we did it is because we were going into diversification of our business, and we wanted to go into office moving. And I had just done our biggest office move that we had ever landed. It was 400 people. We had to move them over the course of 3 days. I worked a 24-hour shift myself on that job, like just absolutely stressed out to high end. I wanted it to go so well. I was just making sure I was on site. We scaled up to, I think it was about 60 team members we had working a 3-day shift consistently, moving their data center, moving all the different facets and the different pieces. It went flawless. But it was at the time the single biggest check that I had gotten from an office and a commercial move. And I took that giant check and I invested it into a full inventory of our own plastic containers, because that order itself was a massive rental that we did.
What's the domain name?
Rentalcrates.com.
This man he's got these domains.
But
so when it becomes that name that everybody recognizes, they go straight there.
But I think I made a mistake, because I have to go back to I own a ton of domains, like in the moving industry. I think I own plasticmovingboxes.com. So like if I could do it over again, I'd do it. I'd call myself plasticmovingbox.com, because I think it's great. I think it's great. I'm pretty sure I should double check I own that before I say that. But
we should share different domain names that we own. I used to own like over 100 different ones, just moving company names, different territories, different locations, like whatever you could think of. I mean, shit, when the AI started, I think I owned like toddlers.ai, because I was like, oh, maybe I'm going to design like a toddler app system.
It's a good call.
I have like, luxuryhomesforsale.com. I have tons of weird domains.
Those digital assets are important though. Like when you look at, like when you go to sell your company, or when you go to like look at like moving companies that sell, those are assets that are a part of the overall sale. Totally. So if you have like strong domains that are part of the sale, it just adds to the value of the business. So I think it's probably a strong investment to at least for a part of your portfolio, if that's what you're doing, to acquire those, because it's good. It's a good one to watch.
So do you find yourself still in the Detroit area, being like one of the main sources for plastic totes?
Yeah.
And also, do you find other moving companies that are renting off you?
We do. We have the Detroit market's a pretty strong market with commercial moving services. There's a good chunk of really well established companies that go back even over 100 years that we compete against. And I won't say most, but a good chunk of them have their own inventory. They probably don't have as big of an inventory as we have, because we've broken it out into a sister brand, kind of a bit of a standalone revenue generator. So we find moving companies will rent from us, installers will rent from us. What we did differently than everyone else, though, is we also rented to the residential consumer, which is unique. So we're the only plastic moving box company in Michigan that rents to both residential clients and commercial clients. But it wasn't like that getting into that market forced us to kind of think about some other things as well that were important to going after that consumer. So like that residential consumer is obviously really more cost conscious, but at the end of the day, it's how easy can you make their life? So we make it as simple as possible. You go to the website, we have pre-bundled packages based on the size of your house. We do all the math and all the thinking, so that consumer doesn't need to go to Home Depot and walk down an aisle and wonder, okay, what's a dish pack box and the medium box, and how many do I need? And then they don't need to purchase maybe too many, or maybe they didn't purchase enough, and then they got to drag them back to their house, and they got to tape them, and they're sweating, and they haven't even assembled a box, and they haven't even packed anything yet. We just kind of make it, you push the easy button. You go right to our website, you order a package, we deliver it within 24 to 48 hours. And then they can use it themselves. they can pack themselves, move themselves, or as you know, we can offer them the packing services through our moving brand, move them through our moving brand. So it really just makes it easy. And then like one of our newest concepts is just taking the actual container themselves, and we built these sleeves that fit inside of them.
Right. Yeah, I've seen these things.
Really similar to like what you have, like an old school dish box, but they're like accordion style. They're hard. You actually can put dishes. The way these are designed is they're so strong. You can go straight from cupboard to crate without any wrapping paper, because we've got bubble lined on the bottom, and that plastic corrugate really separates it. So the product sells itself. Again, I'm not saying
is that a patent product from you?
You can't really patent that. It's not. I did look to patent it, but it's one of those. The corrugated material that they use, that we use, is similar to what they use for like election signs and things that you see at the side of the road, like for when people do their signs.
Sure.
So it's that product. We looked at it. We worked with a vendor to source it out and design it and build it. But at the end of the day, they didn't feel like it was a patented idea, because it was it's too basic in a sense that the design, it had no real unique.
Steven, make sure you take some notes here, okay? Because you and me will quickly get this thing. We're going to retweak it, and we're going to get this thing patent. Then Andrew's going to pay us a royalty every time he wants to put this in there.
Right,
I saw that. It is. Well, I wanted to ask Andrew, if one of us were wanting to get into this, not just the patent, if not, do you have plans and us be like maybe in the future, some of us being a vendor for you in our markets, or is there a way that we can contact you to learn this? You got 15 years in an industry that only has about 15 years here. And knowledge is worth a lot and saving a lot of money for like the me's and Marks who bought them before and couldn't figure out how to do anything with them.
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, if any of your listeners ever have questions on the plastic moving box business or moving in general, I'm wide open. I'm super transparent. I'm happy to share any information that would help them. My goal, or my hope, is that the industry as a whole adopts these, because the more movers that adopt the use of plastic moving boxes, the more consumers are out there. They're going to have brand awareness and understand that those exist in the marketplace. And the more consumers that know that plastic moving boxes are an option, the easier it is to be found. So the hope is that, all of us eventually get, and I think we will get there. Clearly the UK has gotten there, and that was a long, that's going back from the 60s to now. And if you look at how things tend to originate, they get real popular on the coast, right? The West Coast and New York. And then they start to get into the other metros. So it's only a matter of time. I know it's going to happen. I tell you what, every time that a consumer uses them, they love them. I get great feedback from them. It's always a positive experience. And, the product itself is super sexy. It sells itself. Now, I would never say, hey, go into this business and get plastic moving boxes and get thousands of them because you're going to be renting them every day, because you have to build. It's like anything else. You got to build your own brand, and you got to make people aware that it exists. It's on you to create that. But I do believe that there's a huge benefit from it. And I believe that I know that the consumers absolutely love it. When they work with it, it's cheaper than a cardboard box. It will cut your cardboard box costs down. You don't need to order as many because you have these plastic containers, and they work. They're stronger. You have less damages. They stack up. They're denser in a truck. So your movers that are moving with them, they have an advantage of not needing to worry about box crush. Once they get over four or five boxes, these things can go 10 high. There's just a lot of like great benefits.
I always found that, I had sourced out at one point where we had like a larger like plastic tote and then a smaller plastic tote. So we actually had two different sizes on there, but they still didn't serve, the China barrel. Right, they didn't serve like the varieties of different boxes that are out there when we're packing.
Yeah, you won't completely eliminate cardboard. Like even an order with these containers, you won't 100% eliminate cardboard. There's still going to be an element of cardboard boxes being used, because there's certain things, like you said, that are too big to fit in a crate. We moved into that idea on the residential side of having an additional container size other than our green. We have a blue box that kind of serves the 1.5. It's actually a 1.7, so an advantage slightly bigger. And why we did that is what you'll find when consumers use crates is they're gonna pack it as heavy as they can, right? So to try and eliminate that, we brought that blue box out so that the books would end up in that crate as opposed to the green crate, and it kind of saves the movers' backs and makes it a little bit lighter. So yeah, no doubt, there's going to be boxes. Cardboard will still be part of 100% will always be part of our industry for sure.
Being found on the second page of Google is literally like having a billboard in the middle of the desert. Your mama ain't gonna see it. No one's gonna see it. You're on the second page of Google. No one's gonna call. No one's gonna book. Here is the deal. If your business is not ranking on the top of Google, that means your competitors are going to be stealing your customers every single day. So at Rotate Digital, we don't play any guessing games. We use data-driven SEO strategies to make sure Google finds you first so that these Google searches turn into your customers, not your competitors' customers. How do we do it? We do it through AI-driven keyword optimization, exclusive blog networks, backlinking strategies, and honestly, the secret stuff, the proprietary lead attribution software. So what do you get as a result? You get not only good marketing, but now you get clarity into what is bringing you more revenue. So if that's something you want to do, you want to make sure your leads find you and not your competition, go ahead and go to rotatedigital.com, schedule a call, and we'll help you take your business to the top of Google.
Are you a mover looking to make an impact? Discover Moving Letters AI and join the ML Plus Club today. Elevate your customer engagement with the personal touch of handwritten letters.
If you want to take your company to that next level, it's the only way to subscribe. If you're doing anything but Moving Letters AI, you need to get on it. So it's going to take your business to that next level. You're going to see an increase in that revenue. Let's go.
I highly recommend using this company. They're amazing to work with. They even send you an email on how much work they're producing for you.
Don't miss out. Join the revolution and start making moves that matter.
Put a golden damn ticket in there with Moving Letters AI.
What about wardrobes? Like, I've always been intrigued about
Plastic.
wardrobes.
Yeah. So
Yeah, there's plastic ones.
I
right?
want to hit just before I get to, because I'll catch you on that. You had mentioned something, Steve, about me helping the industry. Just like we have Facebook groups, Moving Company Owners Unite. There is a plastic moving box. We call it Plastic Moving Pirates.
You told me that,
owners.
yeah.
Yeah. So that's another source. There were a bunch of providers throughout the United States. I try to contribute to that group as much as I can. In terms of sharing knowledge, I always get phone calls from guys that are like interested in considering opening up this a business similar to this. But yeah,
you've taken mine. You've taken mine anytime it's crossed my mind.
The other thing that I would say though is if you were going to get into it, I wouldn't get into it with the idea of just doing residential. I really think that our bread and butter is the commercial, and if you can get your plastic moving boxes associated with a big contract, that helps kind of kick the whole presence off quite a bit in the market. So like we serve a major hospital, we serve a major university, we serve a major mortgage company here in Detroit. They all use our containers, and that's just like repeat business, and they go in and out of orders. That is the foundation that helps me build this residential side that takes a longer time to get to continue to grow. So
I think Hayden Curtis does a great job of this as well. I think you work with him.
Yeah.
Get him out and show him.
Yeah, Hayden and his mom, a great family. I really enjoy them. They actually, they're from the UK, so they believed in that concept early.
The idea of having plastic totes as a source is fantastic. You go, okay, great. We're getting customers, we're getting a lot of situations. One of the unique things that I found from stopping by the Frogbox headquarters was how they cleaned them, because most people are going to go, okay, great, get the hose out, or get like the spray bottle and the wipe, and that's what they're doing. And they actually had a machine where this is where your totes are going through. And it's just like a washing, sanitization. And do you also have something like that? What are you using to wash these totes? And then the follow up on that one is, how are you tracking the totes when they're going out for rentals? Like, is there a different separate CRM system or tracking system other than like the Smart Move or Super Move systems that are out there for moving companies? For those that are listening, going like, okay, cool, like I want to get this, but like now what do I do? How am I tracking this?
Sure. So let's talk about cleaning them first, right? Because that is a pain, right? And that was the first thing that I'm like, this is like labor intensive. We got to figure this out. And even like my biggest competitor from a nationwide standpoint, that's like really, really well known, I'm sure, and I think their boxes are from Canada, so I'm sure you guys know who they are, what color they are. They haven't even figured out that the smart way to clean these things is to get a placard on them and to dummy proof the system by telling someone, place the label here, keep the label in this one spot. And if you can condition the consumers and your clients to always put their label on that one spot, all of a sudden it eliminates all the other challenges of like cleaning a label off the top, cleaning a label off the side. So like one of the big things that we did was we kind of outsourced and figured out that inside, we built our own placards that go on the side, just like all the major delivery companies do. And it pulls the label right off. So it's a placard that's designed to take labels on and off really quick. They adhere to them, so they adhere really well, but they come off just as easily. So it's cut our cleaning time in like, I mean, well over half. It makes it super simple. And how we do it, it's still labor intensive. I don't have the machinery like Frogbox does. I've seen that machinery, and the only reason that I haven't invested in that machinery is it looks really good, it works really well. But what you forget about is you still have to dry them. So they go through this like pressurized washing conveyor system. And then you got to take them and spread them out all over your warehouse and let them like air dry.
I look at the space, everything that it utilizes, and it's a lot of space that takes up where you could be making money.
My approach to it is I have a great group of high school students that get their first earnings of a real career starting as early as 15 and 16. And they get a chance to come in. And they check in right when they're after school. So about 2:30, 3 o'clock, we see a team come in here and they start cleaning and preparing the crates. This is often their first job. And, you know, like you remember when it was your first job, you took a lot of pride in that first job. Parents love it because there's not a heck of a lot of great employment for youth at that age, like where they're taking on some responsibility. We're super... we have a lot of cameras here. So like, we're very, very, great about bringing parents in, showing them like, hey, this is the environment where your kid's going to work. There's cameras all over the place. They'll feel safe here. If they want any breaks, there's a break room. They can go in the conference room. It's a very flexible schedule. They don't have to be here every day. They just come as they go. As they come, they keep an inventory of what they need to get done. And then each day,
most of our movers keep their shirts on, so don't worry about it. It's not the end of the world.
I gotta say, movers do not love cleaning crates. It is definitely like a punishment for sure.
Yeah, you tried to kill hours that way. Like, oh, I got some winter hours, guys. I want to pick up. It didn't go well.
It doesn't go well, but that's the funny part is like, if they come back to the warehouse and they're complaining that there's no work, there's always crates to clean, fellas. Like, if you want to clean some crates, go down the hall. We've got plenty of them to clean. But usually they go, oh, no, we're good. I'm going to go home for the day. so they often send themselves home.
We are well into our first quarter of 2025.
Yeah.
What was a mistake that you found in 2024 that you have corrected going into 2025?
Oh man.
Hit him with a hammer.
24 was awesome, man. Like we were on we were messy at the beginning of 24. And I had a deep conversation with Steven. I had a deep conversation with a couple other moving company owners. I think Zane I had connected with, and Wade I'd connected with. And I was trying to get a better handle on the organization. It just got a little sloppy in terms of like communication. And so in April of 24, we decided we're going to, got to get the reins back and figure this thing out. And everything can be solved through communication, and over communicate. You can't get in trouble from over communicating. So we started to get back dialed in. And the biggest thing that was the biggest game changer for us in 24 was we started doing sales huddles at 11 a.m. every day, daily sales huddles, going over the key metrics with those guys. And then every Tuesday we do a morning breakfast with our move team. We talk about all the things that happen the week
I want to go
before.
to this breakfast. I've seen
Any
so
the
much
positives.
video coverage. I want to be at this thing. Yeah, he has a great breakfast for the team, and it's a good. The engagement that I see in the videos. That's not just Andrew or his brother. It's everybody excited to be there in the morning, and I'm looking at them like, gosh, it's negative 8 degrees in this place right now. They're going out in the snow. It's crazy the culture he had there.
So that whole thing started back when we all have different awards that we try to win in our markets for like best mover, and we go back, like we take a lot of pride. We go back probably, we probably won one of them, probably won like say 13 or 14 times. One of them we've won 3 times. And what we always do is this goes back to our T-Street conversation from that previous episode we were just talking about, but basically like we do a when or if we win for that year, we do a celebration breakfast, and we bring our guys in and we hype them up, and we make sure it's a really good spread. And then usually what I do is, to tie into like my marketing campaign, I do a new T-shirt every year, and the new T-shirt is either like the motto of the year or some type of something that ties into like what we're trying to accomplish with some type of brand messaging. And they, like last year it was all about that new black truck. We redesigned our truck with black logo, and we took our character out of our logo. And so that T-shirt that we launched last year was a giant character that's on the side of the T-shirt, and then we put our mission statement on the back. But so that's how that. And then what happens is, generally, like, the guys get all fired up. They come and have breakfast. We tell them that we won the award. We celebrate them. We give them thanks. Really prop them up for, like, making it possible. Why we won the award, all the reasons. Read reviews out, all the good stuff. There's usually prizes and whatnot. And then everyone's usually so hyped up. We use that as an opportunity, like, to get our full team together and take a photo. Because how often are you like, guys don't love to take team photos. They're like, oh my God, a photo of everyone? This is horrible. But like, they look forward to it because they're like, dude, I'm getting this new sweet T-shirt. Like, we had a great breakfast. Like, the morale's super high. Like, okay, cool. Like, this is great. And we do it like the way that we tie it in. Like, we tie it in with the award, and then we usually tie that award along in with the T-shirt, and then also with like whatever the big corporate move or the big school project, whenever we have the most amount of our team members all together at once. And then it gives us that, like, okay, here's our great photo of our guys for this year. And so you can go back year after year. I go back like 10 or 15 years of photos with our guys, and I love looking them up because it's like, oh man, you remember this guy? Now look at him, he's a lawyer. Or look at this guy. Yeah. And so, like,
I want to pause here just for a minute and just say and point out something. So Andrew came here, and not many people say this. And a lot of the people that I'll get to come on the show, particularly, are people that are thriving last year. So if I get a chance and Mark says, hey, I need a guest, I'm going to call one of my buddies that I'm learning from currently. But I want, for the moving companies that, like, this industry beats us up and our culture's there, and this person just left us, this key person that you've been dependent on for years, right? This is a conversation that I was having with, December, January last year, Andrew, and he's saying he got together, got a plan. I'm going to attack communication here. And at the end of the year, he's having a great year where everybody had a tough year. So it's in our controls to just change culture in a day. It sounds crazy, but with a lot of attention, the guys are working for you right now, want to believe in you, right? So you can change and give them attention to get a different result instantly. And I just kind of wanted to stop and point that out, because I've been in it. You've been in it, Andrew. Mark, I know you have. All of us have been in it. And like, what am I going to do? I'm working for my employees, and they're not working for me. I have no control. They have all control, and they're not doing anything I want. There is a moment where you say, spend a little bit. You don't have to spend a little bit. Get their attention. They're there for you. And just be transparent with the staff and give them what they're going to give you. And that's what Andrew did very, very well. He took control of the communication.
There is nothing better than the Tuesday meeting. I look forward to it. I come in, I get a chance to connect with everyone. I get phone calls. Like, before I got on the podcast with you guys, I had a team member that had reached out and called me on my cell phone. He was like, hey man, this is what's going on in the field. I think you should talk about this next Tuesday. That is awesome. They're actually like helping like set our agenda based on like the trouble that they're having in the field. And then we have a chance to correct it like instantly and stay on top of it. And it's not just correcting stuff, right? It's talking them through safety. When we started with Samsara, our Samsara metrics, it was like, holy cow, like we've got a lot we've got to get figured out, from seat belts to phones and everything else. And it's
Were you putting cameras in the inside and outside of the trucks as well too?
We do both. Yeah, we do forward facing and rear facing. And
too expensive of a truck not to.
100%. And yeah, there was a little bit of resistance at the beginning, but to be honest, like now it's second nature. Guys don't even think about it. And we're not, we don't do any of the audio stuff. It's just visual is all we look at. We don't want to, let they have their own conversations. Every movie, everyone, oh, dispatch put me on. I don't need to hear like them being, bummed they have to go to a second job or whatever. That's work talk. We all do it. We all enjoy it. And, like, that's part of the camaraderie.
I tell my team, if the movers are anywhere around and you're watching a motive video with them or anything, it better be on mute.
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
we don't. And we don't want that to be known. We don't want them to think we're listening to them all the time.
No doubt. Yeah, no doubt. But these Tuesday meetings give us a chance to offer consistency in one, getting our message to them, but more importantly, giving them a platform to not let things like get under their skin for weeks at a time and get really, burned out. They have that moment where they can share that information. If they don't want to share it with us at the meeting, they know that Tuesday is the day that they can kind of pull us aside and talk to us and kind of have that conversation with operations or myself. But yeah, and use that Tuesday meeting. Like, it also comes with, we do breakfast. So, I kind of use that as an opportunity for recruiting too. So I always try to have new team members that are joining us to do interviews. Come on in on Tuesdays. You get to see the meeting. You get to have some breakfast with us, kind of see what it's all about. And it just kind of sets a really good.
Moving companies, referrals are the best leads, right? But communicating with customers, tracking progress, managing payouts, it's just overwhelming. That's why at Snowball, we do it all for you. And we're really good at it. In fact, in just a few months, the Snowball platform helped JK Moving generate over $200K in new revenue. We even helped New City Moving book 30 moves in a single month. If you have happy customers, we can get you referrals. Scan the QR code or click the link in the description to get the first 2 months on us.
We recently hired Ready Rolls to help us with hiring some offshore help, some VAs, and they've done an amazing job. They found the perfect candidate for our company to fill the right role for our company. And not only that, they helped answer any questions that we had about the process. Initially, hiring a VA can be a bit intimidating, but they answered all the questions. It's been an amazing experience. Our VA has been a huge part of our success thus far. We're actually in the process of hiring a few more right now. Definitely see them as being a key part of our growth and reaching our goals in 2025 and beyond. So, the game changer for our company, I'm confident it'll be a game changer for you as well.
Visit www.readyrolls.com. There is now a better way to scale.
So your Tuesday meetings are everybody from the inside the office to the drivers to the movers, and is it all employees, like your part-time employees? Is it just like you're bringing everybody in?
Tuesday meetings are everyone. Yeah, Tuesday meetings are going to be like all of your team leads, all of your movers, all of your moving apprentices, operations, moving consultants, and we even have like our in-house bookkeeper because she runs all of our payroll. So if she has like a payroll issue, or a problem with timesheets, or someone's not getting the signature where they need to get a signature for valuation, like those are discussion points.
Are you paying the guys for that breakfast meeting?
Yeah, it's pretty efficient. Yeah, there's a cost associated with it, no doubt. But I will gladly pay the cost associated with that for the increased focus that happens on Tuesdays on every move. There's very few damages that happen on Tuesdays because they're usually coming out of that meeting and they're like reminded of like the things that are probably like some of the worst things. There no doubt I could see like resistance from like moving companies that don't want to invest in that time for that meeting, but I can tell you,
if you're not doing for it, you're paying for it in turnover.
100%.
I'm just more curious because I mean we split the meetings. Like we'll do a breakfast meeting with our drivers and our movers, and I'll have separate sometimes meetings with just our main core drivers. And then we'll have meetings with like our mover helpers. We'll have office meetings. Like we always have like a weekly office meeting with our group, and there's usually some snacks and stuff like that that's there. But what I found is that when I was having like a full on meeting with everybody, the timing to do it is always skewed. So we have guys that are leaving our yard at 7 o'clock in the morning, right? And especially for the commercial guys. So they're like, no, we'll do 3 o'clock when we're back for a meeting. So, and then you're calling, and then you want to call in the movers that are on a job site. So I'm just trying to see, like, how do you structure your Tuesdays to make it that impactful?
Yeah, so it has to start with your move consultants that are booking the jobs, right? They have to know that Tuesday, and your operations team, Tuesday is always reserved for a team meeting. And if you have, and yes, there's going to be clients that have to have a move that starts at 6 or 7 a.m. and there might be a few guys that aren't going to attend that meeting. And if they don't attend that meeting, that's okay, because you use AI to record that meeting, and then you summarize the notes, and those notes go on the board. So all the key topics you talked about are something that the guys can check in and see after the meeting. But you want to try and get as many of those team members as possible at that meeting. And if a few of them miss, then a few of them miss. But if you're talking a handful of guys that you can connect with after that meeting and just kind of catch them up with the key points, they're all talking about it anyway, because whatever we discuss at that meeting is usually the truck conversation off to jobs. And then they have their own text threads between team leads, movers that communicate with each other. We have 4 different levels of employees or team members here. So like, we have our apprentice, and then they become a mover, then they become a team lead, and then if they wanted to, they could become a CDLA driver. So each one of those groups really could have a sub meeting, but the main meetings aren't really specific to, hey, this is what you need to work on as a team leader. They're more like, overall, as a company, I'm going to say this out loud because it's important and we all need to hear it. And if we're all aware of like something that's important to us and important to our clients, this is what I'm trying to broadcast this message. This is my one chance to do it. If it's something more personal.
How long is your meeting?
No more than 30 minutes is a max. It's usually, we're usually down to about 15 minutes now.
Now, for the guys that are not scheduled to work that day, how much are you paying them to come in for that morning meeting?
So those guys will come in if we have like a really, really slow Tuesday, like knock on wood, we've been really fortunate. A lot of our schedules have been solid, and we've had like enough like warehouse work in this winter.
All right, but for guys that aren't as cool as Andrew and professionalmovers.com that have a slow Tuesday.
I just want to point out these two things correlate. The pride and the happiness of your crew keeps you busy, keeps that crew busy. But I'll let him continue on that.
Yeah. So if you're talking that you've got like, a massive amount of guys that aren't going to be working on Tuesday, well, then I guess as an organization, what I would recommend is that you move that meeting. It's always on Tuesday for us, right? But if we had a situation where we just didn't have the work to support bringing everyone in, then maybe that Tuesday meeting that one week gets flexed to Thursday, or gets flexed to Friday when we have everyone in.
We used to do it on a Saturday for a number of years before it was, because I knew the numbers were going to be there on that. I wasn't going to miss anybody.
The key, yeah, that's smart. That makes sense, because that was the biggest day that you had the most amount of movers. So the key is that you just don't want to lapse over, because like back in the day, it was like, yeah, we'll do a mover meeting once a month. Well, once a month is like, it's kind of a long time. Like, the other thing that I've gained from this is that we move from, we all have different incentives that we offer our movers, for 5-star reviews, or, whatever you call it, your happy customer bonus. Having the week meetings where you could actually be like, hey, you brought in X number of reviews this week, as opposed to like the once a month. It just reinforces really good behavior.
No, I'm picking your brain because I really like it, and I really want to try and initiate having it as a weekly meeting like we do in our office, but also for all the movers, whether it's me running it or whether it's our operations manager that's running it. But to have that and say, okay, great, everybody here at 7 a.m. or 7:30, and we're doing this meeting, and this is how we're going to schedule it moving forward. I just look at it going, okay, well, we might have 10 or 15 guys because we have a large organization that might not be in that day for work. That becomes a pretty hefty expense, at least in Vancouver, where someone gets called in, they want to get paid for 4 hours or at least 2 hours each. Right?
I think if you do it every week, you're going to consistently hit that guy at the least once a month, where if you're doing it once a month, you're going to miss him, and you could miss him 4 months.
I agree.
You nailed it. Yeah. I think you nailed it. Yeah, so move forward, make the meeting, even if you don't have even if you don't have half your crew that can make that Tuesday meeting, the meeting still goes on because there's messages.
It's the consistency, and I think the consistency is like really the main. If you want to walk away with something on that and have those meetings, it's following what Andrew and professionalmovers.com is doing, which is consistency and bringing the team together.
It's nothing but $1.19 for a McMuffin, right? It's nothing but $1.19 for McMuffin. You can start out with nothing.
How do you know that, Steven? How do you know that? Are you supposed to be knowing this?
You can
shouldn't you be like that veggie wrap?
I see a receipt. I see a receipt all the time for those McMuffins. So we're still frugal on what we're buying, right? It's a good deal.
Our saying in Detroit is there's nothing that a Coney dog can't solve. There's no problem a Coney dog can't solve, right? That's what we're known for, Coney's Detroit. So we have tough moves. Our guys are on a job, and they have a challenging customer, tough situation, more stuff being moved than what was anticipated, or a harder load point, or some kind of problem, trucks breaking down. A good group of Coney dogs going out to that crew for a little bit of energy and morale boost goes a long way, especially if one of the move consultants who quoted that job goes ahead and delivers it and spends a little extra time with that customer to kind of talk up that team when they come there, like, oh, these guys doing a great job. Maybe we missed a few things, but we're getting you back on track. They're going to energize. They're going to finish real strong for you. So I just think the same thing goes with communication. You can never over communicate with your people. The more you could share with them, the more opportunities you give them a chance to have open dialogue with your team, the more you can, I made the mistake of getting a private office going back 4 years ago. So like in my office, it's a big area where all our cubes are, and they're low cubes so we can hear each other and everything else. I live in that bullpen. Like, I can hear everything, I see everything, and hands on. I decided, it was a couple of years ago, I'm going to take the private office across the hall because I can't think in here. I need my time to do my thing. Man, those few years I spent in that private office was the most detached I was from the environment. And I didn't see like we have a strong culture, and the culture carried on. But it's like, when I moved back from the private office back into the area where we're all working together, it was like, it was a morale booster. Like, just the presence, they see what's going on, and my ears are kind of hearing. Even though I'm not involved on every topic, there's influence that goes along with being with your people more consistently, where communication's being had. And it's more often that a move team member will be able to approach you, as opposed to having a private office where it's kind of like off to the side, and they got to knock, and it's uncomfortable. And
I think it's interesting to hear you go from the cubicles to the office back, and just to note how much of an impact you were able to notice that you made when you came back. Like, it was like kind of a excitement for you. Not just the team. What I hear on that is like, oh man, I'm making a lot of impacts I was missing out.
Oh, I felt like I was back in the game. Yeah, it was awesome. It was what I thrive on. Like, I enjoy like communicating with the team. I enjoy having a hand in helping, trying to solve a problem that someone's dealing with, and trying to teach them how to walk through it. Like a challenge. Probably my biggest strength is my ability to communicate with a client when they're having a tough situation. That's just natural. That it comes natural to me to have a really good, like, take a really tough situation, deal with it, get them through it. And it's the hardest thing to try and teach and communicate and get your other team members trained in that area. But like, that's everyone has like a strength at what they're good at. Like, my partner, he's super organized, super detailed. All of his strengths are my weaknesses. Like, that's what he thrives in, and I'm lucky to have him there. So it's just one of those things that, like, when I got back into the pit where I'm with everyone, it was just it's like it's being re-energized, being back.
I just picture your head, a customer's having a challenge, and your head popping up out of your cubicle. What's going on?
Well, I think the biggest thing is like what I would say is like the biggest area of where a moving company can thrive, right, is figure out where all the problems exist in a move, and figure out how can you put things in place to minimize or mitigate those problems from happening, and then share those problems with the customer so they know that you've pre-thought of these issues as you're walking them through the experience, so that you could basically paint that picture that, oh God, I wasn't even thinking about that, but they're thinking about that. I don't need to think about it. This is the company I want to work with. And so like those are the things that really turn, you want to talk about a true differentiator between like yourself and who they're comparing you to. Most moving companies are going in, they're giving that really low rate and that cost, and they're trying to, they in and out with the estimate. But if you're actually talking to that consumer and you're sharing with them information that's like, oh, by the way, some of the challenges that we face, because how many times are you on the phone with a customer and they're like, oh, it's just these boxes and it's just this, and then they make everything seem like it's so easy, right? Like, oh, you're just gonna have to move that, and they're basically devaluing what you're really doing, right? Because they're saying like, oh, you're just moving this and you just got to move that. It should be really easy. You should be in and out of here in 2 hours. And then you have to kind of have that conversation with the customer to bring them back in and say, well, actually, like, so it does seem easy. We make it seem easy, and that's good. I'm glad you think it's easy. But these are some of the challenges that we face whenever we're dealing with this. You've got this sofa that's going into this high rise, and we've actually dealt with this high rise quite a few times, and we know that it's tough to fit everything into that elevator. And oh, by the way, I'm not sure if you know this, but that particular high rise that you're choosing to move into, they're very, very restrictive on their parking. And they're not super great at communicating with other residents that are moving in. So sometimes you have two moving companies fighting for one elevator. And these are challenges that I want to think about so you don't have to think about it. So yes, we're going to move these items, and it's super simple. And I think that you understand that these are what you want to move, and it seems like it's easy. But let me tell you about some of the challenges that we have to kind of think about and think through and plan for, so you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, I love that. It's like having your own like FAQ, the questions that you're already providing the answers for. I always loved giving customers, when I was in-house giving estimates, as much tips and information as possible. And I always was like, even if you're not going to use us, I just want to make sure that you are comfortable with this moving process and you understand the lingo, you understand what's going to happen. And here's your start to finish of how your move's going to go. And if you're using us, we're going to make sure that happens. And 9 out of 10, I was always getting the job, because they're always like, wow, you're always providing us with so much information and made me feel so much more comfortable than just coming in there, lowballing the price, in, out, and away you go. So I always say build a story when you are talking to a customer, because they might not know what you know. It's what I say to people that come and do work in my house. I'm like, you're the professional. This is why I hired you. This is why you're here. If you want to move, I will fill you with all the information necessary. But if you are doing something in my house that I don't know the answer to, this is why you're here. And you're going to explain to me what you're doing and how you're doing it so that I understand it.
People have anxiety because their anxiety exists because they don't know what to expect, and there's not good communication. When you over communicate, whether it's through multiple text messages to that client, multiple emails that drip out to them about, about when the move's coming up, your 48-hour confirmation call to make sure you've again addressed everything. So now by the time you've reached move day, you've talked to them about, hey, make sure that you have all your jewelry, all your prescription medication, make sure you have all of your ammunition, make sure you have all of these things out of your house, move them yourself, control those yourself. So when we come into your space, all we're doing is taking care of those big heavy items and solving that problem. So we're like, you're predicting what are troublesome items, and you're letting them know and communicating that through the whole thing. So just keeping it very, very transparent the whole way. Even like, how you go about explaining valuation and dumbing it down and watering it down so that they understand, okay, let me tell you about valuation and how it's presented to you, but let me also be overly honest so that like, hey, if this becomes damaged in the process, is this actually covered through your valuation program? Some things aren't. We need to talk about that so that if we get into a problem where we break something that's not covered under the valuation program, I want you to know about that before you sign on the dotted line saying you want this valuation.
Prepare your customer.
100%.
Hi, everyone. It's your favorite mover, Austin Yarbrough, and welcome to my school. The school is named Moving Army because it's inspired by Andy Elliott's team, and we've got some amazing changes coming for the moving industry, and I can't wait to work with you. In this school, we will be doing a 100-day fitness challenge. So what this means is we are going to be working out for 45 minutes minimum physical activity for 100 straight days. Stay tuned for more information and let's get moving.
For sure. Before we sign off on this, Andrew, because I feel like we're going to turn into like a part 3. Who are you turning to right now that you can that you typically reach out to? Like, is there somebody like that you have watched videos or you've taken some coaching or understanding of, who is that person that's inspiring you right now? And is there any books that you've currently finished or that you're reading to give yourself that balance of, constantly working on that mindset?
Well, no, I mean, from an industry standpoint, I mean, it's Steven. Like everything that you're doing right now is you are just putting out such great content, but you've always been that way, man. You're such a giver. Like, I feel like you share so much knowledge and so many things that like would help the guy, the newest guy in the room catch up and understand things so they avoid these pitfalls. Those same pitfalls that I'm talking about with the client, so they avoid those problems on the move. Like both of you guys with this podcast that comes out, your Mondays, your Wednesdays, this stuff that you're sharing with people is like so valuable. It's setting our industry up with operators that know how to be just better representations of movers for our industry. So it's elevating all of us. It really is. So I mean, people that I look up to. I mean, I look up to all the key guys. A lot of the guys that you interview. I mean, everyone that's in our friend group. I admire all of them. They all have a certain knowledge that I think each one of them is very special and unique that they do. I'll say that all of them are braver than I am in terms of like, making leaps and investments. Like I get joked out of the group half the time because I overthink my decision making, and it takes me a long time.
That's also a skill set a little bit. He catches us on the back end. We'll say, "Dang it, Andrew, I thought we were doing this 6 months ago," and then he'll remind us when something doesn't go wrong. Like, I'm glad I waited 6 months.
I'll overthink it. I definitely will, but then I'll find that when I make the decision, it's very, very well thought. So, in terms of like people that I admire in our industry, it's all of the OG Titans that I've become, to admire and be friends with, and be able to pick up the phone and contact them and have a question that's specific to like what their specialty is has been amazing for my business. So if I was to be a guy starting over, I would avoid what I did the first, 15 years of my career and trying to be a lone wolf and go at this on my own. I grew up in an environment where the lone wolf was like what was expected. In the Michigan Moving Association, or Michigan Movers Association, I sit on the board there. I've been the past president. It's a great group of movers, all great operators, but like there's not a lot of information sharing because we're all in the same market. So like when we go to these meetings, we have really high level things, like important things that owners need to know, but not like we don't get into like the minutia of like what's like really like what are game changers. So I'm trying to change that, to be honest. Like I'm actually like this year I sat on a panel and I moderated a board with another couple of owners, and we had the room packed, and I was asking really tough questions and I was answering them myself. And it was like, after we did that, I had so many like new guys come up to me and they were like, that was incredible. Like I've never seen like those are questions that I've always been afraid to ask and learn. And it's like, all I'm doing is mimicking what you guys are doing on this podcast, but at a much smaller scale, right? Like you guys have these great, operators on here, and you ask the tough questions that open them up and like share like what's working for them in different markets. And I just did a little piece of that with the movers, and it was like, it was unbelievable. So like it was a game changer for our.
And then all you have to do is just drop it and say, and after, go listen to Movified podcast.
100%.
Go check it out.
I got one more. It won't be a long answer. We've all been on the edge of our seats. What about wardrobe box?
Oh yes, wrap it around. Oh, good.
Okay, all right. So you want to know whether I use plastic ones or cardboard?
Yeah. What if you don't? Why?
Okay, so I did test some plastic ones, and there's 2 versions of them in the market right now. One of them I didn't like, so I went away from that one. The other one I thought was good. It is expensive. You do get return value. But like how I do my wardrobes in my market is we use them as rentals. So we have a purchase price, and then we have a rental price. And the rental price is basically like what it costs to purchase the wardrobe, right? I would say if there's one thing that I would recognize as a wardrobe that we changed this year, it was a wardrobe that we had to source out and we found it. But I don't know if you guys have it in your market. It was very, very popular, like in the 90s, like when I was on the trucks moving. This is like the wardrobe we all use, but it basically has the grips on the side so that you could put it on your back and carry it out to the truck here. Somewhere between the last 10 years, like all these box operators, the corrugate companies eliminated those 2 handles that are on the outside. I was able to find a moving box company that was able to source them and here locally. And so like it was funny, like we just dropped like a pallet on our dock, and our guys got them, and they were like, "Oh my god, we got the wardrobes back where you can put your hands in the sides." Like, because you know what I mean. It's when you're carrying them out, when you're carrying them down steps, it's awkward. It's awkward to if you don't have those grip points. But yeah, so I'm still cardboard.
See, my belly gets in the way, so my arms aren't as long as like yours, Andrew. So that's key right there for me. Those little things are a big deal to me.
If you wanted the plastic ones, there's a gentleman who's on the Pirate Box Operators Facebook group for rental crates or for plastic moving boxes. I believe he sells them. He's out of the Chicago market. He sources them out. I don't know where he gets them from, but he seems to have a lot of success. People have a lot of success with the corrugated ones. The first version I had, I didn't like. The version this guy carries is really nice, but it is expensive. I think the last time I priced it, I think it was like, I want to say it was close to like $50 a wardrobe. But you know, how many turns do you get of that versus how many turns do you get of a cardboard one?
Great. I enjoyed this very much. So thank you. You're a great.
This was great.
Just to share that, you're a great leader in this industry, and you lead and you help. And a lot of the things that I give out, I'll say it, I learned from Andrew, especially in culture. So keep doing what you're doing. I'm
Thanks,
learning
brother.
from you as well. You're a great friend and a great person in this industry. We're lucky to have you.
Oh, I appreciate it.
Yeah, Andrew, this is definitely long overdue.
I appreciate it. Thanks, guys. Yeah,
show for a while.
I enjoyed it, guys. I appreciate having me on.
Awesome. Thanks, guys, for all those that are listening and you want to reach out to Andrew, look down below. You'll see his link in the description. And everybody, I really just appreciate all the followers, the comments that keep coming in here, all the listeners that enjoy the information. If you ever want to know any more topics or something that you want to learn on, reach out to me, reach out to Steven, and we'll be happy to find those answers for you, because that's all we want to do is we want to give you guys... Yeah, just find him in the DMs, because he doesn't answer me back sometimes, and he's like, "You're too much, Mark. Stay back." And everybody, just stay movified. Actually, you know what? Before we end off, somebody said to me, they said, "Why do you keep saying stay movified? Like, what does that even mean? Stay movified?" And I, aside from wanting to, when I originated the name and used ChatGPT and figured out a really cool way to say it, it originated with, just the moving industry, right? To just be movified. And when I started the catchphrase "stay movified," it was really an encumbrance of your entire life to be that 1% more. They always say, "Oh, be 1% better every day," and what does being better mean? And that's kind of where I was like, I don't want to use that as like a phrase, because what at the end of the day is being better. But if we're doing 1% more in life, whether it's, kissing your wife a little bit more, hugging your kids a little bit more, saying thank you a little bit more, being a little bit more at everything that we try and achieve, that's what staying movified is all about. Right. And that's why I always sign off with "stay movified," because I want you guys to smile more. I want you to be happy more. I want you not to overwork yourself more. Right. But just, balance that just a little bit more, 1% every single day. So that's what it is, guys. And so that's why I want you to stay movified. Thank you. Thanks, guys.